Hello there, this is Melissa Saracen with Sacred Vision Life, and it's been a while since I have created a video. There's lots that's been going on here, and I'm going to talk more about that over time. But today I wanted to bring you some guidance, some intuitive message for you around self-care. Self-care has really become the center and the focal point of what I am focused on right now. Like I said in my last email, I have been having a health challenge, which again I'm going to talk more about as time goes on and as I learn more. And so each day what I've been doing is I have been focused on doing one thing that's just for me. So that one thing could be, giving myself permission to sit down for 20 minutes and listen to meditation audio. Could be time for me to go out for a walk. The weather is getting a little bit warmer here up in Canada, and so it's time to spend some time outside again, connecting with nature. I've also been taking baths with essential oils and just really looking into how I can support my body as it's going through this change. And as we're coming up to a full moon next week, and this full moon is in Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign, and Virgo helps us bring in the perspective of sacredness to whatever it is that we're doing. And when we are aware of putting our focus on creating some sacred time, so I called it self-care, but this is also sacred time that you create for you so that you can really give yourself time to spend in an expanded state. When we bring spirit, we are opening our crown chakra and bringing in that energy of spirit into our body. Our energy automatically expands. And when we're in this expansive state, we can relieve stress that we could be having in our lives. If we've been feeling emotionally reactive, then this is a time where we can release our attachments to those things that we're judging ourselves for. Plain and simple. And so Virgo and the element of earth can help us bring a different perspective to a next step that we can take in our own self-care and in that own sacred time that we're creating for ourselves. And so I chose a card. Interesting. I chose a card, and it was an earth card for Virgo, and it's structure and form. So whenever we want something to change in our lives, we have the tendency to talk about what it is that we're going to do. And there's kind of a trick that our minds can play with us, that when we talk about something out loud, when we give it voice, or even if we're just thinking about it internally and imagining ourselves going through, this is visualization. Sometimes, though, we can fool ourselves into thinking that we've actually experienced that which we're thinking or talking about. And so what this earth card is telling us is that we need to put structure and form around anything that we want to manifest more of. So talking about self-care, talking about creating sacred space, we need to give ourselves structure. So I said, what I'm doing is I am just making sure that I do one thing at least once a day that's just for me. So it could be taking a bath, and I make that bath special by putting in salts or essential oils, or I light candles, I play music. I make that time available so that I can expand into my expansive spiritual self, and I can gain perspective on what's going on in my everyday life from that expanded state. When you're in contraction, you can't actually access thoughts that are going to give you solutions. And so you want to create space for that expansion to take place. And then as we're talking about self-care and self-love, they really go hand in hand. I have pulled a card from the Power of Love Oracle deck that is by James Van Praagh. And the card that came up is acceptance. And I love this card. I was just talking about this the other day. And I've just realized this, how powerful acceptance really is, or remembered how powerful it is. For when we're trying to change something, if we are in judgment about that, if we are in blame, if we are holding a vibrational energy of shame around what it is that we want to change, what we need to do is open to accept that part of ourselves exactly as it is in this moment. Because we know that once we get to that place of acceptance, then that's where the resistance drops. And when we drop our resistance, we're able to allow our energy to flow and to allow our feminine essence to show us what it is we need to do to experience that nurturing, to experience the embodiment of this self-care so that you get the greatest benefits from it. And so on the acceptance card, it also says you are ready to release control of situations or people and lovingly embrace the rhythm of life. So it's through acceptance that you are able to embrace the things as they're happening. We can't always change other people. All we can do is accept the way that we show up and then move forward from there. And so go outside, connect to earth energy and ask, how can I bring some structure and form around the idea of acceptance? How can I let go of control of how I want things to be? And how can I step into the flow, even if it's not exactly the way that I want? And how is acceptance going to help me to do this? That's the question that you can ask yourself leading up to this full moon next week that is in Virgo. And the energy of that full moon will start to talk to you when we start to inquire, what's holding me back from accepting this idea or this situation or this person that's in my life that I believe is causing me some form of stress or discomfort. And just allow the energies to start talking to you over the next week and see where you're led and see where that leads you to guide you in taking that step of doing one thing that's just for you, without thinking about anybody else. It's your week to be selfish. It is your week to say, okay, I accept that I need space for my own self-care in order for my health, my mind, and my emotional self to come into balance, to come into wholeness so that I can feel ready to take on the challenges that show up naturally every day in life and to get into that rhythm of life again. And I would love to hear how this lands for you. You can join me on Melissa Sarrazin Mentor Facebook page. And I've also created a group called the Self-Love Room. I'll put a link to that room on my Facebook page if you'd like to join us in there. I will be doing more card readings in there. I'll be sharing with you more of the things that I'm doing for my own self-care so that you can get some greater ideas. It's time to really honor the sacred part of you and to give yourself time to do that every day, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, even if it's just making yourself that smoothie that you've been wanting to make, even if it's just sitting down and reading a book that you've been wanting to read. Give to yourself this week a little bit every day, and then come join us and share what it is that you do and how that helps to shift your perspective, how that helps you to shift your energy, and how that brings you back into a loving acceptance with yourself, who you are in this moment and who you are expanding to be. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.